Hey there. Although I am involved with CADAC, the Center of ADHD Awareness Canada, the views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the participants and do not reflect those of CADAC. And now, cue the music.
This is the Impulsive Thinker Podcast, a show for high-achieving ADHD entrepreneurs. Together, we will inform and educate you about how to improve your self-awareness while developing systems, routines, and habits for conquering the entrepreneurial world. Here is your host, André Brisson.
Hey there, it's André here with another short for the Impulsive Thinker Podcast, the podcast for the high-achieving ADHD entrepreneur. This episode is brought to you by CADAC, the Center of ADHD Awareness Canada. You can get more information and you can donate at www.caddac.ca. Just wanted to share with you that I'm about halfway through DBT therapy, which is a dialectical behavioral therapy, which is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, but with the mindfulness application, and they teach you skills on how to deal with distress tolerance, mindfulness, interpersonal effectiveness, and I think I say emotional dysregulation, and there's another one, I forget right now. But either way, they actually teach you skills. And I'm halfway through DBT, and I start to realize something. One big revelation I had the last few weeks is, before my life tempest, I naturally used these skills before I had my life tempest, where my undiagnosed ADHD symptoms took control and ran rampant, and I became very rigid, very demanding, very, very not good to be around. That was the life tempest. But what I discovered was before then, I naturally used these skills. These were skills I already had, and I was using them effectively the majority of the time. But during that tempest time, I had convinced myself that I was not a good person, and I needed extreme, massive help to correct me. That's why when I got the ADHD diagnosis, I didn't believe it because it was too simple of a diagnosis to explain everything in my life. I actually truly believed I needed more help than just a simple ADHD diagnosis. Something was physically, mentally wrong with me, and I needed some extreme, severe help. That's what I had convinced myself. And then with that conviction, I believed I had to learn a new way to think and be during that tempest. After the diagnosis and realized I needed help. And again, I'm using the term believed. This is what I believed. I believed, and it wasn't true. But the last few weeks talking, because with DBT, you got a group section, you got an individual section, and talking with my therapist for the individual sessions has caused me to seriously reflect on who and what I was before my life tempest. The person who I thought I had to become, a new person to learn, was actually my pre-tempest me. I've always been a good person, and recently this is just a new thinking of me since my life tempest and how I convinced myself that I wasn't. I always was a good person. I always had good skills to deal with stress and tolerance, interpersonal effectiveness, mindfulness. 9 times out of 10, besides personal family stuff, my emotional regulation was very steady. People relied on me for that steadiness in shit shows and severe stress. But knowing that I was always a good person, I just lost my way for a few years. That was what I realized. I just lost my way for a few years. Working on myself, taking care of my mental health, the ADHD diagnosis caused me to find my old self and path. So I lost my way for a few years there, but my ADHD diagnosis, the therapy, working on my mental health and taking ownership about it, has helped me find my old self and path. Now, having that said, my old self with a lot more improvements because of my awareness and the additional skills that I'm learning with DBT. I'm just learning how to refine them a lot more and be of clearer mind on how to apply them and knowing who I was. Now, simply now, that was a good 5 years of the tempest, and it's been 4 years, so it's almost been 7 years now. But now that I know my old self was legit, as validated as being good, and I was doing things properly. It was just those few years that was not done properly. Now I just have to show others, my family, my friends, colleagues, clients, customers, staff, that miserable me won't take over again. Because It's reality here. I was not pleasant. I was not good. I lost friendships, almost lost my family, lost clients. That happened. That's the reality of it, right? I have ADHD. ADHD took over, but that's the explanation. It's no excuse. I have to rebuild these relationships, and it takes time to show others that that miserable me will not take over and come back. I hope this is making sense to you, but I think, like, in the end, the moral of the story is shit happens. Shit happens. We lose ourselves. At these times, we become someone else we are not. And a lot of times that has to do with the fact that we're actually becoming someone that we're not to protect ourselves. And I don't think a lot of people realize that our behaviors and are set there to protect ourselves from ourselves and others, or other perceived from others. But temporarily, we become someone not to protect ourselves. And if we understand why we're protecting ourselves, then we won't become this miserable person. We can always rediscover ourselves again with help and awareness. But that takes a lot of serious introspection, in reflection. But it takes time. And basically what I want you to get away from this today is sometimes we lose ourselves. We become people we don't want to be. We become people that we are normally not, in a way that's protecting ourselves, but it happens. Identify that you're this person you don't want to be aware of it, take care of your mental health, and then go back to who you were. But with that experience, you'll become a better person if you can come back from the dark side, right? Shit happens, we lose ourselves, become someone we are not, but we can always rediscover ourselves again and go back to who we were. And it's possible. It might happen once, it might happen twice, it might happen 4 or 5 times, but I think the key here is the length of time you spend in that into that negative person or the person you don't want to be. You know, it'll happen. It could be a week, good. Months, years, maybe not so good. But identifying that you're in a state of mind or a state of protection that you are no longer good to be around. Why? Identify that. Take care of your mental health. Get support from your family, your friends, or even therapists, professional help, depending. They will be there to help you. They will be there to support you because they know who you were. If it's short term, they know this is short term and they'll help because you're asking for help. They'll be there afterwards. And then you will be a better person after. You would have grown. And that's all life is, actually, is all about personal growth. If you're not growing, you're not doing anything. Life's not easy. We all have challenges, neurotypical or neurodiverged. In the end, moral of the story, shit happens, we lose ourselves, but we can always rediscover ourselves and enjoy life again. I hope this was beneficial. If you think others would benefit from this, please share this episode to 4 or 5 people. We greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to the podcast, join our newsletter. Please put a comment and share and make a rating and rate this podcast. It'd be greatly appreciated. And I'd like to hear from you. Questions at theimpulsivethinker.com or on our website. Thanks for listening. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Impulsive Thinker podcast. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion for the show, please visit theimpulsivethinker.com. The Impulsive Thinker podcast is produced by Tactical Breakthroughs and hosted by André Brisson. Remember, ADHD is only a part of you, not all of you.